Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So this week's meeting is for students and parents. What we're going to discuss in this week's meeting is how to turn in last week's video if you have not done so already. We are also going to discuss how to request supplies if it is something that you're interested for your student or for yourself going forward. And we will be discussing what it is that we are going to be doing this week for our workload. So as far as the video goes, if you find it complicated to do the video, I am going to actually do an additional video after talking to students this morning. Most of them are doing great. However, some students aren't as good at technology as others. So I told them I would create another video that actually walked them through how I made my video and how I turned it in. I did find it was easier to turn in my video to Google Classroom after uploading it through YouTube. So I suggest that if you are struggling, you try that. And then I had to provide access for battleground students to be able to see the video. And then as soon as I loaded it into Google Classroom, you were able to see it just fine. If you are a student that doesn't own a cell phone and you're finding that this is a difficult project because you don't have a camera, you don't have a phone, how am I going to do a video? It turns out that Zoom makes a great video platform. You're not able to edit it as easily, but it does make a great platform. And all you need to do is create your own Zoom meeting and don't invite anybody to it. Get it started, and then you're able to use the record button at the bottom to record an entire video. That's actually how I'm making this video now. And then when I'm done with the video, it gets sent to my email. I requested it was sent to my email, and then I'm able to load it right into Google Classroom quite easily. So, or actually, I think I still load it into YouTube and then into Google Classroom, but it does make it a lot easier. So that is always an option for you. But I will be putting out a video that shows how I did it, and then it should be able to help you walk all the way through the process quite easily. As far as supplies goes, it looks like next week I'm going to be able to start sending out supplies. So therefore, I need a couple of things from you. I need you to tell me what kind of supplies and how many you are interested in receiving, or if you're interested in receiving them at all. You do need to understand as the student and the parent that once the supplies come to your house, that you become liable for them. The supplies and equipment that we're sending, they're not overly dangerous supplies or equipment. They will be things very similar to, go this way, I guess, a jeweler's saw. And so if you're in my glass class, in my jewelry class, you would have a jeweler's saw, you'd have metal, you have some wire, and it isn't overly complicated or overly dangerous. If you were in my glass class, you will have things like nippers and glass. Now, glass you do need to pay attention to, because if it gets chipped and then it's on the floor and you were to step on it, you know how that could hurt your foot, and it could be a gusher. So you do need to make sure that you are careful when you are using things like this. Now, a glass cutter that would score this piece of glass, it will score the glass just fine. It won't cut your hand at all. You could run it across your hand all you would want, not the glass cutter. However, a glass cutter could easily score a window if it was left unattended and a small child or an angsty teenager got a hold of it. So you do need to be aware that that is a possibility. So you know your family better than I do. You need to decide if that is something that you are willing to take the risk on, or if your student can be responsible enough to be able to deal with that, liability. So, and then we're going to send out things like wood burners. So if you are interested in doing wood burning, I'm interested in teaching you wood burning, even remote learning. You do need to understand that you need to be very mindful about the art that you are creating, because we do not have the ability to send back and forth supplies a lot. And so you need to make sure that when you are working with the supplies or the equipment that I send home, that you are working with them as directed, and that you are really being mindful about the work you're creating. So I'm going to show you how we're going to, how you're going to be able to provide me with the information, telling me whether you want those supplies and then how much supplies that you are interested in. And then we'll move on to what next week's homework is going to look like. Or I guess it's this week, due next week. Okay, so I'm going to share my, my screen with you. And okay, so if you were in my glass class, now the jewelry class looks almost identical, but if you were in my glass class and you were starting off, you would be in the stream screen. And this is where, you know, here's the invitation to this morning's meeting. Here's the little email that I sent out to you guys. So that is where you're going to find the most recent information going up there. But then you'll go into ClassWorks. Here is my Zoom meeting information. So these are the 2 meetings from last week. Here is the invitation for all the Monday meetings. Oops. Monday meetings, and here is the invitation for all the Thursday meetings. So that is where you would be able to get into Google or into Zoom meetings right there. And then we have the assignments. Do make sure that you have completed last week's assignment, which should be a slide and a video. It is due by tomorrow, and that is how we take attendance. So you need to have done it so that I can take your attendance. So this would be last week's assignment would be the videos and Google Slides, and then the video that I'm going to do another video on. And then as far as this coming week's assignments, you do want to read the directions very carefully, because these directions are going to tell you what projects in this line that you do not actually have to do. So this top section is Glass and Wood Art 1, and this bottom section is Glass and Wood Art 2, and it gives you 2 separate sets of directions. So make sure that you are reading those. Now, here is where you are going to find the information how to request supplies. If you were to click on this button right here, this is a form document, and it's really basic. You are going to give me name of the student in the class period, and this is where you're going to tell me if you are interested in keeping the class as it is, meaning that you would not have supplies at home. You would do most of your work through videos, Google Slides, and a blog, and the subject matter would be art exploration, material science, and then your daily life as the subject matter. So it'd be very similar to what we are currently doing. Or if you are interested in getting equipment at home, it says, I prefer to participate in a combination hands-on and digital communication class. In this class, I will use school equipment and supplies to create 3D projects. I will use videos and Google Slides to communicate my project designs and outcomes. And that is where we get into the hands-on class. Now you are going to end up filling out, even if you do not want supplies, you need to finish filling out each section, or I don't believe it'll allow you to turn it in. And so just do your best. It will talk to you about what kind of supplies that you are interested in having at home, how many. I do give you the option of getting your student supplies and maybe a little extra supplies so that you or maybe a sibling could work with alongside your student so that they can work together, and the student that is in my class would be able to help teach you know, somebody else in the classroom, so, or at home. Or you have the option of a maker's gotta make, and I would like as many supplies as Miss Riley is willing to shove into my bin. So those are kind of some options you have. And then these 2 right here, you are going to decide, am I in the glass and wood art, or am I in the jewelry and wood art class? And so I think I need to correct this because it shouldn't say wood. It'll be metal. And then you're going to tell me what kind of equipment and supplies that you're interested in. And then if you have the opportunity, would you keep the supplies and equipment longer? I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish that, but I do know I have some students that are very interested, because doing it this way is going to be slower, and they have a lot of things they would like to make. So I'm going to try, but let me know if you're interested. And then this one right here is where you need to make sure that you and your student and parent discuss which one of these works for you. Because some of these are going to say that, you know, I don't want supplies. The next one is going to let me know that the liability, or let you know that the liability ends up landing with you if you accept the equipment and the projects for at-home use. You know, not only can a glass cutter cut something, you know, in your house that you may not want, but you are responsible for paying for those supplies or for the equipment if they don't get back to the classroom or that they're used poorly. So you need to make sure that you are fully willing to, you know, accept liability when it comes to these activities. And then in the end, you are going to have a document that you are going to fill out, and it's going to be a permission slip. You can either click this button and it'll lead you to a link that will lead you to the permission slip, or click this button and you may then travel back and go right over here. And this is what your permission slip would look like. It's very similar to the last permission slip, except for the wording really does go towards at-home distant learning. And so you need to sign it, have your students sign it. The parent needs to sign it because a couple things is the parents at this point are going to be the ones that are picking up the supplies and taking them home. So they have to be willing to do that. And there is also safety rules and regulations that I have in class that you are then going to have to follow through at home. And you are agreeing to do that in order to keep everybody in your home safe. Again, the equipment is not overly dangerous, but glass does cut, and if it's left in the wrong location, it could cause damage. So you would fill that out. So once you fill that out, I will start putting your bins together if you are interested. If you do not want supplies at home, you do not need to fill out this document. Do fill out the form sheet, but you do not need to fill out the permission slip. So as far as what parents need to do in order to fulfill the obligation in order to get the equipment into their house, that is really about it for now. And then I will start gathering supplies. However, if you would like to stick with me, I can show you what your students are supposed to be doing for this week. So these two documents right here, these are meant for first year students. And it says so in the directions that are slightly above this. And so they will be creating they will be reading and paying attention to vocabulary words in the directions for stained glass. And then at the very end of this worksheet, there are some questions that they need to answer. And they need to make sure that they're using proper vocabulary that they learned in the document above. So that is one of the things that they're going to do. The second thing that glass students are going to do is they are going to, again, take a look at the vocabulary. They need to understand the vocabulary. If you need to look at different YouTube videos, I have plenty in Google Classroom. If you just scroll down on the classwork section that you can look at. And then you are going to create and design your own stained glass project using the knowledge that you already have built as far as how glass cuts and what kind of cuts you can make, you personally can make when creating stained glass. If you were using somebody else's design, you cannot use something like this. You would need to take a look at somebody's design and draw it out. I do expect a hand drawn design. And then you are going to turn this picture in using Google Slides. So you'll turn it in using the Google Slides platform. So that is what you're going to be doing if you are a first year glass student. If you are a second year glass student, you are going to work on wood burning. It is probably going to be the first project that I send out for you. And so you're going to watch the video, and then you are going to read through this document. You do need to pay attention to vocabulary words, things that you have not known before as far as wood burning goes. And then because these are the terminologies that we're going to be using when you're creating your art, and it makes it easier especially if we're distance learning, if we're using the same vocabulary. And then here's just some ideas of things that you can do. So that is what you're going to be doing if you are a glass student. If you are a jewelry student, the platform is pretty much the same. And then you'll go into week 3. Again, 2 different sets of directions. And then you're going to find that you have the forms document right here or the permission slip right here. If you are a first-year jewelry student, you are going to click on the directions. You are going to pay close attention to vocabulary words and information on your project requirements right here. I expect you to follow those requirements. You may have to do a little bit of research in order to understand like the size that you're creating. And then you are going to end up creating your own riveting project. This is probably the first or second project that you guys are going to receive, and I need to be able to see the full template. You are going to put it on this little document right here or something similar. You can do it in a drawing kind of, I don't know, platform if you would like, but you're also going to turn this information into Google Classroom using slides. So I need everything to get sent into Google Classroom so that everything is in one location. I don't want it emailed to me. I want it in Google Classroom. So that is what first-year students are going to be doing. If you are a second-year jewelry student, what you're going to do is you're going to watch this video right here on how to make an engagement ring. Oops. And then you are going to complete this document. This document right here is going to ask you to do some research regarding materials and equipment and where you get them and how much they cost and things like that. So you're going to do some research on how to do lost cast wax. So that is what you should be doing this week. If you have questions, you can always email me. And if you don't have questions, just make sure that you're getting them turned in before next Tuesday. I say 11 o'clock because I need to be able to take attendance. So the things you turn in is how I take attendance. Now, rumor has it, it's just a rumor at this point, but rumor has it starting next week that we are actually going to start grading students again, actively grading. Right now, we are taking attendance, and then next week we will start, rumor has it, that we're going to actually start grading you and taking attendance. So please make sure that students are doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. We don't know what this year is going to look like, but I do not want you to get caught unaware and turns out you haven't been doing your work. And then all of a sudden the state comes down and says, sorry, credit's not available if you haven't been doing schoolwork. So please make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. As far as everything else, I hope these videos help. Again, you can always opt out of the videos if you don't like them. And I hope to get to see you guys in the future, especially when you're maybe picking up supplies. I think what supply pickup is going to look like is I will have a table out in front of the school with your students' bin sitting on it. They have this little bin that they put their stuff in, and that you will drive up, pick it up, and then leave. If you do not send me back the permission slip, which I need those back as soon as possible, then what would happen is I would have a permission slip on the table as well that you would then need to sign. I would have a fresh pen out there and you would need to sign that and then put that in a box, because I do need the permission slip signed before I release equipment and supplies to you. So please make sure that you are preferably getting them done digitally, but for those rare occasions that somebody cannot do it digitally, I will provide a written copy. Somebody earlier today asked me if, when returning it, if they could just take a picture of it and then send it back to me. And yes, you can do that. It is clear enough, and it would be perfectly acceptable if you took a picture of both sides and then emailed me I've sent them through Google Classroom, please. And that way I have them on record, which is really what, you know, I need in order to be able to release school equipment out into the world. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope this cleared anything up, and look forward to the last video on how to actually create your video and send it through Google Classroom into YouTube into Google Classroom. Okay, you guys have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.